Made by From Software and published internationally by Bandai, makers of some of my favorite Godzilla toys, comes the sequel to Demon Souls, now titled Dark Souls. I recently heard about this game because it's supposed to be notorious for its difficulty. It came out on the PlayStation 3, but I have the 360 version. I hear the PS3 version may be better, so I'm kinda pissed that I ended up with this one, but whatever. As the game starts out, they give you some backstory about witches, dragons, human armies, and all sorts of undead fiends. I like the atmosphere and the mood the prologue lays out.
And Seath, the scales, betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more.
Like I said, the rumors I had heard about this was that it was one of the hardest games in recent years. Even the back of the box says, "Prepare to die." But is it as hard as everybody says? Let's take a look. When you begin, you can customize your own character, which is cool. So you can choose your name, your class, facial features, and design your character how you want him or her to look, which is great. But let's just get to the gameplay. This is a third-person adventure, and while it might look like a hack and slash on the surface, it's not. It's much more than that. Dark Souls has an advanced combat system that will take some time to get the hang of. Here's the basics for those that have never played. The top red bar indicates your health meter. The green bar is your stamina gauge. Yeah, your guy is going to get tired when you run or you fight, but it replenishes quick, so it doesn't become annoying. To the left is a circle, and that's your humanity meter. You're trying to get your soul back or something like that, so the higher it is, the better. Don't get that confused with the player's level, though. They're two different things. For all the hype and the great visuals in the game's introduction, really all you're doing, at least as the game begins, is walking around killing skeletons and zombies. But it's very fun because the hit detection is accurate and the combat controls are everything that you want them to be. Even down to the easier enemies, they still parry, dodge, and block. There's no easy kills here. Each enemy seems to have a mind of its own. They're not pushovers by any means, and if you're not fighting at the top of your form, you're gonna end up brown bread. When you die, it restarts you at your last save point, which are bonfires that are scattered all around the world. Unfortunately, they're few and far between, which is one of the reasons that the game seems so hard. As you resume the game again, all the enemies that you just killed are back, so you have to redo everything that you just did over again. Not only that, but they take away the souls that you've collected as well. Souls are essentially your experience points, and you need them to level up, get weapons, purchase items, or pretty much do anything to be able to progress. This one time, I'd been playing the game for about an hour, and I got really far and made it to this bridge. I was excited to cross, because it seemed like something really important was about to happen on the other side, but there were some skeletons shooting arrows down at me. I went back to kill them before I went across the bridge, and I fell off the tower. It's one thing that those skeletons would have killed me, but to die in such a dumb way after playing for so long really sucked. Numerous times throughout the game, I got my ass handed to me. I was killed again and again. Sometimes I'd get so frustrated I just turned the game off. But there's something really addicting about the gameplay that keeps me coming back for more. More punishment, that is. So I can see why first-time players would think this is an impossibly difficult game. That's how I felt at first, too. While it does require a good deal of skill, I don't think it's nearly as impossible as people make it out to be. It's more time-consuming, I think, than it is hard. There's a few things that you need to know to make the game easier to cope with. First of all, even though you lose all your souls you've been collecting when you die, you can get them back. If you make it to the last place where your player was murdered, you'll see a little floating green cloud. If you collect that, you'll replenish all your lost souls. The next thing that makes it easier than it seems, and the most important I'd say, is that you have to spend some time leveling up. Spend some time in each area killing as many enemies as you can, collecting their souls when they die. Once you've collected a good amount, don't just rush ahead, because you're gonna die and lose all your progress. What you need to do is go back to the bonfire and level up. You use your souls to increase your character's ability, like try increasing your strength or your vitality, for example. I know that to more advanced players this is all completely obvious. I'm just pointing this out for beginners who give up early because they feel that the game is too hard. It really shouldn't be if you understand how to play. The next thing that first-time players should realize is this is not a game where you just rush in and attack a group of enemies. You need to have some patience and try to take on as few enemies as possible. Also, as you go along, you'll find new weapons and armor that'll make you stronger. You have to search for this stuff or buy it and equip what you think will work best. There's going to be shops to purchase weapons, and sometimes enemies even leave behind better weapons to use. And most importantly, realize that everything becomes easier when you upgrade the strength of your weapons. When you make it to the blacksmith, you can buy material from him to increase the power of your swords and armor. Where an enemy might have taken 10 hits to kill before, now they only take 1 or 2. If you know all this going into the game and you have some patience, this isn't half as hard as people make it out to be, but it will take you a long time to level up. So if you're looking for a quick thrill, then you better look elsewhere. Now that I got all that out of the way, let's take a look at the first few stages. When the game starts out, you're in the Undead Asylum. You have to kill a giant monster by repeatedly rolling out of the way of its club and then attacking it. You're bound to get hurt here, so this is where using potions first comes into play. Here they're called Estus Flasks. I was really worried that if I defeated this boss and then I died, that I'd have to fight him again, but fortunately, it seems like you only have to refight the smaller enemies. You don't have to refight bosses. After you kill this first boss, a bird picks you up and takes you to the next area. By the way, that bird just looks awesome, doesn't it? Look at the graphics and attention to detail on that thing. In fact, look at the graphics in this whole damn game. They did an incredible job. From the godlike sunbeams coming down to the murky dungeons, this game really delivers in the graphics department. The first thing I did was travel down to the graveyard. Some skeletons came out of the ground, and a few moments later, I was dead. I tried again and again, but I just kept getting killed by skeletons. Man, the skeletons in this graveyard are so hard, I just decided to use the old tactic of just trying to run by everything. I was able to run ahead, and I picked up a large sword called the Zweehander or something. Moments later, I was murdered by some more skeletons. Clearly, this is not a good method. However, when you respawn, you keep your items, so I was at least able to keep that sword. Unfortunately, the thing is so big, my guy isn't even able to use it. Oh god, what a wimp. Since this graveyard deal isn't working out, I decided to look for another route. Back closer to the bonfire where they start you is a path leading up to the Undead burg. Here there's guys that throw fire bombs down at you, but they're way easier to defeat than the skeletons in the graveyard, so this seems to be the way to go. The regular undead enemies are easy enough, but when you get to the guys with the shields, they're a real bitch. You really have to lure one out at a time because fighting a group of them is sure to get you killed. Oh, there's also a lot of pots and barrels all over this game. I'm constantly breaking them thinking I'm gonna find some rupees or potions, but there's never anything inside. As if the game isn't cruel enough, the pots are even stingy. Also, after you kill an enemy, their bodies are left behind on the ground. I think it's pretty funny how they bounce all over the place when your feet knock into them. The boss of this area is a large beast that you have to fight on that bridge that I mentioned earlier. Even though he looks intimidating, he's actually very simple. All you have to do is run past him and get enough distance so that you have enough time to climb the ladder. When you get to the top of the tower, jump off and attack him. By dropping down, you'll injure him a lot. Just do this a couple times and he'll be defeated very easily. So after this, you make it to a new area. One side has a bridge and the other side has a warrior standing there. I was scared of this guy at first. I thought it was like some kind of powerful night boss that I'd have to fight, but actually he's just somebody to talk to, so that's no big deal. When you go the other way, there's this huge bridge to cross. As soon as you step out onto the bridge, you're instantly torched to death by a dragon passing overhead. Damn, I did not expect that. When I came back to this bridge again after dying, this time the dragon is waiting there, sitting in front of you, so it seems like you're actually meant to die at least once there. Now this time all I did was just run ahead to the stairs real quick, and you can see the flames engulf the warriors above me as I collect all their souls. Now that's how you do it. Anyway, I made it a bit further in the game, but I'm not going to do a complete walkthrough. I just wanted to give you a taste of how cool this game is if you haven't heard about it. The atmosphere in the game is moody and dark. Everything is undead and trying to kill you. It's just a horrific place to be. Usually games that are really dark like this don't appeal to me. I generally seem to enjoy games that have a more colorful look to them. They somehow made this foreboding atmosphere somewhere that you really want to be. So there's a lot more places and bosses and stuff like that I haven't shown here. Some of the bosses are really crazy as you go on. If you're wondering where I'm at, I'm a little past the gargoyles and up to the giant wolf in the woods. I'm gonna go ahead and see how far I can get on my own, but if you like what you see here, give the game a try and don't get discouraged because it just takes some time. Now some people might wonder why they just don't give the game a difficulty setting, but I'm glad that there is none. I think that would ruin the whole thing, since it's about having patience and leveling up. I hear Dark Souls 2 was recently announced. I wonder if they'll add a difficulty setting to that one. I hope not. Okay, so there's one more thing I want to mention about this game. Sometimes I do videos talking about glitches and tricks or whatever in games, and I debated mentioning this one because it's pretty cheap, and I don't really recommend actually doing this while playing, but I wouldn't be doing my job unless I mention it, so if you don't want to hear about this cheap glitch, then turn off the video now. For those that do want to know, there's actually a way to level up a lot easier by exploiting a sort of glitch design flaw in the game. Once you make it to this blacksmith, he's selling a crest for 20,000 souls. That's the first thing, you gotta buy that. So you're probably going to want to spend some time in the Undead burg collecting souls until you have enough. Once you're able to purchase it, go down the steps near the blacksmith where there's this big stone-looking monster thing, and just run past it out the door behind into the forest. If you continue on the left path, you'll come to this big door. Use the crest that you just bought on the door and it opens up. This is where the trick is. Okay, so there's this set of stairs leading down into the forest with magicians and ghosts running all around. They're too strong to fight, really, so you just want to run out and get their attention to make them follow you. Lead them back to the stairs where you came down, and around the side of the stairs is a narrow ledge. Just stand in the corner and hold up your shield facing the camera. The enemies will run up the steps to get to you, and when they jump down, they hit your shield and fall off the cliff to their death. Sometimes they just fly right off without even touching you. It's actually pretty funny to watch. These guys are worth thousands of souls each, so it's really the easiest way to rack up souls quickly. Then you can just go back up the steps and make a right. There's a bonfire right there for you to save and level up. Pretty crazy trick. Anyway, this is a really great game, so try it out if you have some time to kill.